Welcome to Citizen Portal, the federal edition, your go-to source for everything happening in federal politics. Let's dive in and keep you connected to what matters most on the national stage. Hey everyone, welcome back. I think today's deep dive should have something for everyone. We're going to be looking at a congressional hearing from February 6, 2025.
Okay.
And it's all about the state of U.S. science and technology and really where it stands globally.
Right.
We're talking about university presidents, people who used to be in the government, economists, a real all-star team. They're all focused on this question. How can the U.S. stay on top when it comes to innovation? But here's the thing, and this might surprise you. China's actually ahead now in 37 out of 44 critical technologies. It's like we're in a race we didn't even realize had started.
Yeah, and it's not just about who's winning. This affects everything. National security, the types of jobs we'll have in the future, things like AI, biotech, advanced manufacturing. These are going to change the world in the next few years.
So the U.S. has some serious competition, especially from China, when it comes to science and tech. What are some examples from the hearing that really show this? Like, what are the specifics?
One of the witnesses talked about advanced manufacturing and robotics. China's making millions of units in these areas, and we're making thousands. So they're getting a lot more experience, which is giving them a big advantage.
So how do we catch up? It seems like the experts have different ideas about how the U.S. should invest in science and tech.
Some of them think the government should invest a lot more money. They point to China's AI initiative, which is like $140 billion as a good example. They think targeted funding can really speed up progress.
But it's not just about money, right? Some people think we need to get rid of bureaucracy and let companies innovate more freely.
It's a really interesting debate. And from what we've read, it seems like the best approach is to find a good balance between government support and private sector energy. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
One thing that I found kind of worrying was how much the U.S. science and technology system seems to be struggling. Labs are in bad shape, researchers are spending all their time on paperwork, and it's kind of discouraging.
Yeah. And one of the people at the hearing even talked about brain drain. That's where talented scientists go to other countries where research is supported better. It's a real problem.
And this isn't just some far-off national problem. Think about that part about access to advanced computer chips. That's hitting local tech businesses, and it could affect you directly.
Exactly. All these global things happening actually have a real impact on our local communities, jobs, even our lives. But even with all these challenges, there are some really hopeful ideas that came out of the hearing.
Like what? Tell me.
One that I thought was really interesting was this idea of focused research organizations. So these would be small, flexible teams that have a specific goal and enough funding to really tackle it. Less bureaucracy, more results.
Sounds pretty cool. But one thing that kept coming up was the need to build up a strong STEM workforce. You know, the scientists, engineers, mathematicians, the people who are going to be leading innovation in the future.
Definitely. The experts all agreed on that. We need to get young people excited about STEM, make those careers more appealing, and make sure everybody, regardless of their background, has the chance to be a part of this world.
So it's not just about getting more people into STEM, it's about making it more diverse and inclusive, which is a really complex issue.
Absolutely. And the sources we've seen show different opinions about how to do that. How do we make sure STEM reflects how diverse our country is while still recognizing that talent and hard work are important? There's definitely more to discuss there.
So now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the actual recommendations that came from this hearing. And these aren't just ideas. These could actually shape the future of innovation. Your future, too.
Exactly. The experts had a whole bunch of interesting proposals, so let's break down the ones that seem like they could have the biggest impact and connect them back to what we talked about before.
Sounds good. One thing I noticed was that they kept talking about changing how research is funded, making it easier to apply for grants, less paperwork, and giving researchers more freedom to explore different paths.
Yeah, it's all about making the money they have for research go further and letting scientists focus on what they're good at, actually making discoveries.
Nobody wants to see brilliant people drowning in paperwork. But there was also this idea of finding new ways to fund research, especially for projects that are risky but could have big payoffs, stuff that could lead to huge breakthroughs, even if it's a long shot.
That's where those focused research organizations come in, right? Remember we talked about those. They're like special forces for science, totally focused on solving one specific problem.
It's like putting together a dream team of scientists and giving each one a special mission. But it wasn't just about funding either. They talked a lot about making sure that different parts of the innovation ecosystem are connected better. The government, universities, and businesses.
Yeah, the experts were really emphasizing how important it is for these groups to work together, share what they know, and collaborate so all these discoveries can make a real difference in the world.
Like building a bridge between the lab and the real world. One thing that stood out to me was the idea of rethinking policies about intellectual property. Basically, how to make it easier to turn those amazing research discoveries into products and services that people can use.
Which goes back to what we were saying before. Universities and labs are great at discovering things, but they don't always know how to turn that into a successful business.
Some people thought maybe we should make it easier for researchers to start companies or license their technology to companies that already exist, so they would have more incentive to actually turn their discoveries into products.
It could create a really good cycle where those research breakthroughs actually help the economy grow, and then that economic growth leads to even more money for research. We can't talk about U.S. science and technology without mentioning the elephant in the room, the competition with China.
Right. And the experts definitely didn't ignore it. They had a lot of thoughts about how the U.S. can stay ahead.
One important suggestion was to really focus on investing in those key technologies where the U.S. is falling behind. Like advanced manufacturing, AI, quantum computing.
So figure out what we need to catch up on and then really go for it.
Yeah.
But they also talked about more than just specific technologies. There was this whole discussion about making sure the U.S. is better at manufacturing things.
Yeah, one of the experts said that we need to increase how much we can produce, especially in areas like robotics and drones. It goes back to that learning by doing idea.
Making sure that we can not only invent cool new things, but actually make a lot of them. But along with investing here at home, there was also this idea that it's still really important to work with other countries.
Yeah, definitely. A few experts talked about working with our allies and partners, sharing information, planning research together, and facing global challenges as a team.
Because in a world where everything is so connected, science and technology just move faster when we work together.
Let's bring it back to your community, though. One of the biggest takeaways was the need to create more opportunities for people from all kinds of backgrounds to be part of this innovation economy.
Yeah, they talked about things like making sure more people have access to STEM education, supporting groups that are underrepresented in those fields, and creating opportunities for people to learn new skills throughout their careers.
It's about using the full potential of our workforce, making sure everyone has a chance to contribute to and benefit from all of this progress in science and technology, no matter where they come from or what their background is. And it's not just about being fair, it's also about being competitive. If we have a diverse and skilled workforce, that's a huge advantage when it comes to driving innovation and making sure the U.S. stays a leader globally. Let's step back for a second and connect all of these policy ideas to the big picture. What kind of future are we trying to create here? What's the goal of all this work to boost U.S. science and technology?
I'm interested to hear what the experts had to say about that. What kind of vision for the future did they have?
Well, one of the people at the hearing said something that really resonated with me. They said that America's economic strength, national security, and quality of life all depend on scientific progress and a strong science and technology system.
So it's about creating a future where everyone's life is better because of new technologies and scientific discoveries.
Think about a future with clean energy, medicine that's personalized for each person, and technologies that can solve our biggest problems. That's what these experts are working towards.
It's a vision worth fighting for. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to take everyone working together. Policymakers, researchers, educators, even the general public.
This hearing was a wake-up call. It's a reminder that the U.S. needs to step up its game if it wants to stay ahead.
And that's where you come in. You, the listener. By understanding the challenges, being part of the conversation, and supporting policies that encourage innovation, you can help shape a brighter future for yourself, your community, and the whole country. But that's something we'll talk more about in Part 3. We'll dive into the human side of all this, the scientists and engineers who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So in parts 1 and 2, we talked about the global competition and all the policy recommendations.
Right, but for this last part, we want to kind of shift gears and talk about the people behind all this innovation.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in, the funding and the policies and stuff. But at the heart of it all, science and technology are about people. The people who are passionate and creative and really driven to push the limits of what we know.
That's such an important point. And the experts at this hearing really highlighted what it takes to nurture that human side of things. One thing they talked about was how important it is to create a culture where people feel comfortable being curious, a culture where it's okay to experiment and even take risks.
Yeah, like an environment where it's okay to fail, you know, where those quote unquote failures are actually like stepping stones to something better. A place where young scientists are encouraged to think outside the box and go after those really out there ideas.
Exactly. And it's not just about like setting people free in the lab. The experts also talked about how important it is to have good mentors, experienced scientists and engineers who can guide the next generation.
It's like having someone who's already been through it all, who can show you how things work, share their knowledge, and help you through all the ups and downs of a career in research.
Yeah, it's about building that support system that helps those really bright young minds really reach their potential.
Oh, and here's another thing that really struck me from the hearing. The experts talked about how important it is to explain to the public why science and technology are so valuable.
Because, like, in today's world, everyone is just bombarded with information all the time. It's easy for science to get lost in all that noise.
Right.
We need to remind people why science matters, how it affects their lives, and why it's worth investing in.
Yeah, it's about bridging that gap between scientists and the public, getting people excited about scientific discoveries, and showing them how those discoveries can actually make our lives better in real concrete ways.
I love that. Make science cool again. But it's not just about getting people excited about science and engineering. It's also about having those tough conversations with the public about the ethical side of new technologies. As things like AI and gene editing get more and more powerful, we have to start thinking carefully about how to use them responsibly, what kinds of safeguards we need, what kind of future we're building.
It's about making sure that scientific progress matches up with our values and that everyone benefits from it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. The future of U.S. science and technology isn't set in stone. It's something we all have a role in shaping.
Yeah, it's a group effort. It takes scientists, engineers, policymakers, educators, business leaders, and everyday people all doing their part.
By understanding the challenges and embracing the opportunities and being part of these important conversations, we can create a future where American innovation leads the way and scientific progress makes life better for everyone. So we've covered a lot today, from who's winning the global technology race to specific policy recommendations to the people who are driving all this innovation.
And as we sign off, I want to leave you with one last question to think about. If scientific progress is a journey, not a destination, what role do you want to play in shaping the future of American innovation?
Think about that as you go about your day. And be sure to check out the show notes for more information and resources. Thanks for tuning in to Citizen Portal. We hope you feel more informed and ready to engage with the issues shaping our community. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an update, and visit us at citizenportal.ai for more insights on how local politics are impacting you. Until then, stay engaged, stay informed, and remember, your voice matters.